Hey guys, Tom McAllister, or some pre-recorded footage here, and today I wanted to talk to you about when is it okay to, or rather, when do you prefer to decide to give a survivor hatch or to let a survivor escape? I was thinking about this last night, and I started to explore the various reasons why I do it, and it's kind of polar opposites usually. Most cases, as long as survivors aren't like dicks to me, like I don't feel like they're being intentionally harmful during the game, like they're just, they're doing what they're supposed to do. I'll usually leave people alone for the most part. And if I feel like they played well, or the opposite, I feel like it was a really bad game, I'll sometimes end up giving people hatch. Usually, the deciding factor for me at the very end, regardless of whether it's been a good or a bad match, is when I pick them up. Do they start struggling? And then I'll try to let out a hit or two to say, hey, I'm trying to give you hatch, but you are struggling and you are making this difficult for me. Um, and then usually they'll either stop or they will continue. And if they continue, I hook them. If they don't continue, I give them hatch. And what constitutes, I guess my point now is like what constitutes a good match. And a good match to me is a match where everyone's playing well. They're getting gens done, but I'm also like getting downs at the same time. Both sides just playing really well against each other, and ultimately it comes down to who comes out on top at the end. And if that's me, and I find myself with a survivor that I feel was, a decent part of the team was playing really well, I'll usually end up giving them hatch and letting them go. I'm also really partial to letting Fangs go too, just because I have an extreme bias for Fangs. Um, and then it's kind of the opposite. I guess it really depends on how I feel at the end of the match. Like if I feel like they had the match in the bag and then they completely fucking ganked themselves and just fucked themselves over completely, I won't give hatch in that situation because it's kind of like a I feel like you should have had it kind of thing. I feel like you should have won this, but circumstances led to you not winning it, right? Somehow. Like in the situation where I feel like I truly should have lost, there's a couple matches on this channel where I'm like I'm on one gen, there's still three people alive. Like they should have this debatably, as long as two people are working, one person's running, they should be able to have this. But in the situation where that happens, sometimes I'll give hatch, sometimes I won't. Because there's no set criteria for like why we're gonna give hatch or when we're gonna give hatch. It's all up to do I feel like giving hatch? And there's really specific circumstances where sometimes I'm like, nah, fuck this. Like if I'm doing like a challenge where I like need to kill survivors, I typically won't give hatch because I want to get my challenge done, and that's sort of my priority at that point. But if I'm just casually kind of playing and I end up in a match where, let's say, they get literally no gens done, everyone plays like a goddamn lemming and gets absolutely slaughtered by me, I'll give the last person hatch if they're, what's the word? Like cool about it, I guess, to somewhat of an extent. Like if we end up in that situation and you make me chase you around the map and down you, I'm not gonna fucking give you hatch because now you've made me fucking work for it, and this match was already fucking over, and you just prolonged it for no reason. So I'm not gonna waste my time with looking for the fucking hook after you do that to me. Like I understand wanting to stay competitive. I do it sometimes too, but I never expect to get hatch after I do that, right? I just go for runs because I want to have a good run. I don't want to just give up and expect the killer to give me a hatch because you never know if they're going to. And I guess that's maybe what the point of this video is that you should never expect to be given hatch because you never know if a killer's going to. There's no like determinant rule that says, oh, just because you had a shit match or you had a really good match, the killer has to give you anything. This is like a personal choice kind of thing. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about when do you personally decide to give hatch to someone? When do you personally say, yeah, this person deserves hatch, I should give this person hatch, that kind of thing. Like I had a game the other night playing as Trickster where it was very clear that MMR completely fucked these people and put me against people who were not at all in my fucking skill range. And I felt bad, but at the same time, I had the challenge of kill 12 survivors, and I needed 4, and there were 4 of them. So I killed them all, even though I could tell like they were definitely lower in skill range. I had a challenge, and that took priority over letting these people get out. but sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes I'm kind of like, or like a Fangman, like I said earlier. Sometimes I have sympathy for them. Sometimes I have sympathy for someone who maybe the rest of their team were acting like morons, and there's nothing they could have really done about it personally. Um, so yeah, I'm just curious, like what your thoughts are. Like, when should you give Hatch? Should you always give Hatch? Should you never give Hatch? What is your opinion on giving Hatch to survivors at the end of the round, or letting them get out the exit? When do you decide to do that? When should it be applicable? Do you think it shouldn't be applicable? Do you think you shouldn't give these people this kind of expectation? Give me your take. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll be responding to comments periodically. So thank you so much for listening to me talk about this for 5 minutes, 6 minutes almost. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.